it's This Epic Disaster. Did you think we were never going to do another show? I did.
I did too.
I was beginning to think that another show would never get done.
Because there's been a lot going on.
Yeah. We'll cover all of that. Let me just say this today, as you might know, is episode 200.
200?
Of This Epic Disaster. Now, no, there are a few people who thought this nonsense would last this long.
Very few.
I'm not sure. Did you? I'm trying to think if I really thought it would.
I don't think either of us were among the people that did.
I'm not even sure I gave it that much thought.
No.
We just did it.
We just did it.
We were doing another podcast, and we just said, let's convert it into this one, and we did. And then we just did it, and we'll just do it as long as we can. And we're still doing it.
Here we are.
So what do you think? I'm going to estimate 50 episodes a year.
Yeah, they're about.
And so that means 4 years.
Right.
We've got 4 years
behind us.
Yeah. And that's just this podcast. And we did 2, maybe 3 years of the other podcast.
Yeah.
Well, maybe 2. I don't remember. It seems like 3.
I think it was 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that.
That's just a long time.
It's insane. But then it was really, really weird not doing a show at all. I mean, I've done it. For 4 years, every week. We've done
minus
at least
1 or 2 weeks here and there.
But then there have been some weeks we did 2 shows.
Yeah.
Or 3 if I was going out of town, or you.
Right.
And it just felt weird not doing anything.
It did. And we'll go into the reasons behind that here in just a minute. But
after we have a beer. A live beer review we do on every show.
Right.
But we're not going to do it on this show.
Not today, people.
We won't do live beer review on this show.
I'm going to give you a hint of what we will be drinking instead. And I'd like you to listen closely.
I'm afraid. Shapagana. We're going to do live champagne review. Champagne because
it's our 200th.
It's our 200th. A little celebration. And not only that, we're actually recording this on New Year's Day. So
it is.
I'm going to say that we're kicking off 2022, which sounds weird to me.
I know.
There's a lot of 2s here. 200 episode that we're recording on 2022.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Maybe we should have waited until tomorrow on the 2nd to do it.
We could have.
But we didn't.
We did not. Or February 2nd. That would have been even awesomer.
Even awesomer?
Yeah.
But then people would have forgotten entirely who we even are by that point.
I think that's now.
That's already happened.
That's happening. All right, so I'm not a huge champagne person. I think we should say.
I like champagne, but you know what?
What?
It gives me gas.
You're not going to be ripping them on the podcast, are you?
Well, not that anyone would hear it.
But I will say, the champagne, because I only have it on special times, it just there's this little trigger in my head that something special is happening when you have champagne.
Because something special is. Let me tell you what we're drinking today. Today we are drinking, and I'm not going to pronounce this correctly. It's Gruet. I want to say it's Gruet, but not Gruyere. It's Gruet or Gruet.
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 You know where I got this?
I grew it.
I grew it.
It's a Brut. It's an American sparkling wine. It's from California, so it's not actually champagne. Because you can't call things champagne unless
that's not right.
They're from Champagne, France.
Then, well, why are we doing it then? That isn't because we always do things wrong. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that's right or wrong. It's just correct.
It's not bad. I like it all right.
Oh, wait.
Cheers to 200 more. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
200 more episodes and 3022.
Let's do it. We won't be there, but it's fine.
Yeah. Everybody who's listening to this in the year 3022.
Just know that we won't be there.
What do you think is going to happen to things like that? Podcasts and digital stuff in the year 4000? Do you think people will find something? Something's got to happen to it. I mean, will people be listening to this? Maybe this will get added to some time capsule under a statue somewhere. Somebody will find it, and we'll be like in some college. I don't even know if they'll have college at that point.
No. They won't even. We might not even have Earth at that point, or humans.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be living on Mars with Elon Musk.
Oh God, he'll be the president of Mars.
Well, let's talk really quick about why we've been so. As I recall, that's the thing. It's been so long, I can't even remember. It's been almost 2 months since we did a show, and we were going to do a show, and you got sick.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do the show.
Right.
And so we were like, let's hold off. I think you thought you had COVID at the time.
I did.
And then the next week, there was a problem. And then after that, we started getting into holidays.
Yeah.
That started happening. And it just one thing after another.
So many things happened.
And it just grew. And then your cat that you raised since, for 18 years?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Longest relationship of my life.
So,
she passed away.
Your cat died. And so I remember when I picked you up in Chicago, she bit me.
She bit me too.
We were driving back. And so she's been through a lot.
Because remember, I was trying to comfort her and she bit
Yes.
me, and then you made us stop at the grocery store, and you were like my little medic. You took care of my little finger there.
Yeah, got some peroxide and shit.
Yep.
So anyway, that happened, and so that's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
And then Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, it just piled up.
So much stuff.
And there was at one point I was thinking, maybe I should do a show with a special guest, but I was like, I can't. It's episode 200. We have to do that one. I can't do a special guest show. So in some ways I was kind of like trapped in a corner. It was just like I have to wait for the holidays have to get better. You have to be in a better state of mind. All the things have to happen. So it's just like waiting. And so when the holidays started coming up, I just said, all right, I'm making a decision. We'll do the next show the first of the year. And I called it.
I will tell you that when Pretty Girl died, and that was my cat's name, by the way, when she died, I did go a little off the rails.
Totally.
So it wasn't a good idea for me to be around other humans.
Well, I mean, it's understandable. No, I mean,
Yeah.
So we had 2 cats go in the span of a couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah.
And a dog.
Yeah.
Like
just a couple months
right before that.
Yeah.
It was this whole year, last year, I would say, has been about transition and loss and all that stuff.
Yeah, because this whole year has been going on for all of about...
not even 24 hours.
Not even 24 hours. I tried to do math in my head, and I got stuck. I'm sorry.
Well, so that's why it's taken so long. But I think we're back on track. I hope we're back on track. So maybe we'll have some kind of show. I don't know if we have any audience for the show.
Maybe.
Maybe. But I am hoping that people made a New Year's resolution to listen to the podcast more.
Well, of course.
I really hope that.
I think that's all of our listeners' New Year's resolution is to listen to their podcast more. Listen to Rick and Sherry's podcasts more.
Yeah, I'm hoping that that's the case. Let's play some Would You Rather. Do we even know where the Would You Rather... Oh, there it is.
It's right here. We actually...
Let's blow the cobwebs off of it.
We had to go looking for the stones because they were somewhere on the floor.
Yeah, no one's been in the studio since we did the last show.
Wow.
It's just been sitting here.
That's crazy. Although I will... that's a lie. When I spent the night on Christmas Eve...
Oh, you snuck in and recorded a special episode?
I didn't record, but I did sneak in and steal a pair of your glasses.
Showed your boobs to everybody.
Yes.
Like that's a special.
On a Zoom. We did a Zoom.
They gotta pay extra for it.
Yep.
All right, let's drop blue.
It's yellow.
I'm not even gonna guess this year. I gotta quit.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Yellow is random.
All day.
Would you, as a woman?
I am a woman.
Would you rather, as a woman? I think.
Oh.
Would you rather, as a woman, have quadruplets?
God.
Or have 4 babies each 10 months apart, like my mother did?
I don't want to have any babies. Is that an option?
No, not on this. So you have to pick one.
Let's put it this way.
You want them all at once?
At my
you want
age,
them spread out.
Get them all over at once.
Just do it all.
I mean,
it's hard to imagine at your age that you would want to have a child, but
of any kind.
I know.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a dad at one point in my life. I mean, it was like really important. I couldn't even imagine life if I wasn't a dad. Wow. I knew it had to happen.
You were going to be a dad.
I wanted to be a dad, and I thought, I knew I'd be a good dad too. And life didn't go that way.
Mm-mm.
Never had any kids, and now here I am, with no kids, and I can't even imagine having a kid. I mean,
there's no way.
No, and I realize it's like my life is so selfish. Because I hear about people sacrificing for their kids and doing things for the kids.
You're like, no.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to just be able to go do whatever you want to do and not have to think about, what about the kids? Because it's hard enough thinking about dogs. But if you're thinking about kids, that's just difficult.
It's very difficult. Like, do you take them with?
Yeah.
Do you drop them on a corner somewhere?
And my parents had 7. How the heck do you do anything in the whole world?
With 7 kids.
I don't know.
I
can't figure it out. But yeah. So
when I was very little and I first learned where babies came from, I wanted to have a baby, but I did not want to be married.
So you wanted to be a hoe?
No, I just wanted to have a baby as a single parent because I
It
knew.
was a joke. I know single parents.
Even as a child, I knew that nobody would raise my kid as good as I would. And now I'm like, that poor child would have been fucked up.
Totally.
Could you
I've
imagine?
seen the way you raise your dog. All right, here we go.
I raised her quite well.
Here we go. You're like the world's worst helicopter parent.
Yes, and?
All right, I'm dropping them.
Do it.
Dang it.
You're supposed to drop 1, Rick, not 2 stones.
It just 2 came out.
That's
all right. There we
good
go.
thing it wasn't 4.
It's a green.
It's green. Green stands for ethics and intellect.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather be really smart and really boring?
That's where I am right now, pretty much.
Or really dumb but funny and entertaining?
That one. I feel like being dumb would make you even funnier.
I think so too.
I wish I was that.
Oh,
I mean, ideally you'd want to be smart and funny.
Didn't you know?
I would rather choose dumb and funny.
Okay. Yep. Don't tell him. All right. So, that's right. Would you rather?
Yeah. Awesome.
So it is 200.
Yeah.
I've got some things to tell you about 200.
200 episodes?
200. Well, not necessarily about our episodes, but about the number 200.
Oh.
Interesting fun facts.
Oh. Okay.
I don't have any days of the week this time because I'm doing all 200 today, baby.
All 200 days?
Well, no. That would take forever. And then we'd be on episode 400. And then we'd have to open more champagne.
Okay.
All right.
It's not bad champagne.
So 200 is the smallest base 10 unprimable number. Do you know what that means?
Kind of, yes.
Okay. What it means is...
I mean, I used to have math. When I was in school.
You had math?
I had math. And I learned about prime numbers, but if someone had a gun to my head right now and told me to explain what prime numbers are, it's like, prime numbers are, I think, isn't it numbers that can only be divided by themselves or something like that? I don't remember.
Okay, a base 10 unprimable number
base 10
is 200.
Yes.
Because it cannot be turned into a prime number by changing just one of its digits to any other digit.
You lost me. Okay. I'll trust you.
So 201 is not a prime number.
Whatever.
199 is not a...
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
It makes no sense to me.
This one will make more sense. This next fact is going to make a bunch more sense because it makes more sense to me.
Oh. Okay.
And I can explain it to you. It's a Harshad number.
A what?
Harshad. Starting with an H.
He was one of the sweat hogs.
I don't think he was a sweat hog.
Oh.
But he was a mathematician.
Okay.
So in mathematics, a Harshad number is, in a given number base, is an integer that is divisible by the sum of its digits when written in that base.
We came back for this?
Yes. This is interesting shit, man.
No.
Yes. Listen.
If I knew math was going to be involved, I wouldn't have shown up.
I'm going to give you an example, and then you'll understand.
All right.
18 is a Harshad number.
Okay.
So if you, the sum of the digits 1 and 8 is what?
1 and 8, the sum, 9.
Okay. And 18 is divisible by 9.
That's correct.
Without any fractions. It's just 9 and 9 is 18.
That's correct.
Okay.
2.
So the next one, I'll give you another example. 12 is another Harshad number, and do the math. So
what math am I doing?
Take the two digits and add them together.
6 and 6?
No.
What?
1 and 2 from 12. 12 is...
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so
right.
1 and 2 is 3.
3
and
times
12
4.
is divisible by
4.
3 because
3
it
and
comes out to 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't like this.
Some people will, but I'll stop there.
Teacher, I have to go to the bathroom.
Pull. You just have to go to the bathroom and pull one.
What? What the heck does that mean?
Isn't that what you did when you were in school? Go rub one out in the bathroom?
Huh? The hell school do you think I went to? Oh
Lots of little boys did that.
Who did that? I don't know. No one did that. No one.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe it was just me.
How would you do that?
What do you mean?
I mean, how? No one did that.
All right. Well, you didn't do it 200 times.
Go 200 what?
Here's another one in an HTTP status code indicating successful connection.
200?
The code is 200. Okay.
I don't remember that. Okay.
All right. A cholesterol level of 200 and below is considered desirable level,
really?
Corresponding to lower risk of heart disease.
Working on that.
Yeah. Well, you and I are about to be over 200 next episode. Not on our cholesterol level, but on our episode count.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Anything between 200 and 239 is borderline high. 240 and over is high. Oh, and you know what else 200 is?
No.
It's how much money you get when you pass Go and Monopoly.
Do not. What? Pass Go, $200. Pass Go. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't played Monopoly in so long.
So
I wouldn't even know how.
But do not pass Go, do not collect $200, go straight to jail.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's because when you did pass Go, naturally you would get $200. Every time you made your way around the board, you get $200.
Factoid.
What?
I'll tell you a little factoid about me.
I'd like to hear it.
I hated Monopoly.
Did you really?
Do. I played it many times. I used to own it. Not my game. Don't care for it.
Well, you're not good with money.
Okay. I'm no Trump.
No, definitely. You're no Trump. I have a few more facts here. I have some historical facts.
Okay.
So the year 200 was a leap year starting on Tuesday.
Wow.
Of the Julian calendar.
Yeah, I was going to say it certainly had to be a different kind of calendar. So they had a leap year in that calendar too?
Apparently.
Wow.
At the time, it was known as the year of the consulship of Severus and Victorinus.
That's what I thought.
But the denomination for 200 for this year has been used since the early medieval period when the Anno Domini calendar era became the prevalent method in Europe for naming years.
Year of our Lord, AD.
Yeah. So,
and they don't do that anymore. Now
no.
it's CBE or something like that.
Yes, BCE.
BCE.
Because it's BC and BCE.
Before current events.
Yes.
Or current time.
Something like that.
Before Simon Cowell.
His name starts with an S.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. But
Baby
that's a
cow.
good...
That's what his wife calls him.
Baby cow?
Yeah. Before baby cow.
Does she get to ride the baby cow?
I've not seen the videos, and I won't say. I hear they're on the internet, though.
Wow. I'm looking. This is a very interesting fact, and it's going to blow your mind.
Oh, wow. I need my mind blown. Go for it.
What else? Never mind. World population in the year 200. And now, again, this is BCE, not 200 BC. This is BCE. In the year 200, the world population reached 257 million.
That's more than I would think.
It was more than I would think too, but just for reference, current world population is 8 billion or 7.9 something.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's about 8 billion.
Right.
1 billion is 1,000 million.
Wow.
Yeah, and they weren't even at 500 million.
Can I buy some pot from you?
But this is fun. So that was basically 257 million people on the world in the year 200 is just over 3% of our current world population.
So my Christian indoctrination that I experienced growing up.
Were your parents creationists?
I was. What does that mean?
Oh, you were?
Well, of course. Southern Baptist from East Tennessee.
Oh,
You serious? Yes.
Yes. My answer would be yes.
Yeah. So, I was just talking to my wife about this yesterday about like when I was out of college, because I went to college to be a minister. I believed all that stuff in college too.
Right.
I was out of college and I dated a girl from Japan who did not grow up Christian, did not care about anything Christian. That was the first time I realized that there were actually people that couldn't care less about Christianity.
Exactly.
My little bubble was burst.
That's not all that
during
burst.
that time. And I just remember I didn't comprehend.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand that.
Yeah.
Because I was told you need to go out and tell people about Jesus.
Because they just don't know.
And she'd be like, "Oh yeah, I know. I've heard about that. Yeah, but I don't care."
No.
And it just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Because look at Japan's history.
Yeah.
Come on.
But it's not just that. There's
She just doesn't care.
yeah.
Yeah.
So my schooling, the way I was taught to think in like my little Baptist
Bubble.
yeah, little Baptist bubble. So that's just what you think. You think that those kind of things. So I thought that during the early times, like Jesus's time, let's just say even that, like before, right when he was born, before, I never thought that there were things going on in other parts of the world.
Right.
The only thing that was happening there in the Middle East.
And that's common with Christians because some of them don't actually believe anything was going on elsewhere.
Right. So I think it was, I saw an article about Christmas, and it was just like Christmas before Christ, which was kind of weird, and that certainly Christians think it's weird. But it was just like what was going on in Europe, how they were celebrating Yule and
other festivals.
The other festivals and other traditions way before there was any kind of Christianity.
Exactly.
And that's just so weird thinking about it, because I don't know, in my head I was always conditioned to think that was the only thing that was happening.
Did you realize I actually know somebody who still has that mentality, and probably I know more people than just one.
I mean, that's almost all of Christianity.
Yeah. I was telling a friend of
conservative,
mine about a movie that came out a couple years ago starring Dan Stevens called The Man Who Invented Christmas.
Okay.
And I said...
About Charles Dickens?
Yes.
Okay.
But when I said, there's this movie I think you should watch, it's called The Man Who Invented Christmas, and he goes, oh, is it about Jesus?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, because even after Jesus Christ came and went and was gone for a hot minute, people still barely celebrated Christmas. Like, it wasn't even popular until the 1800s to celebrate Christmas.
Right. As a festival.
Right.
Well, I mean, it was actually kind of created by the Catholics, early Catholics, as a distraction from the pagan holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they did, I mean, Easter, even the same thing.
Yeah. But in England, even after it was created by them to distract, they were still like, meh, it's just another day.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the whole premise behind Scrooge is you expect me to give you this day off,
Right.
Why aren't you just working, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I found that interesting, and I did in that particular conversation just kind of shut up at that point. I was like, I'm not in it to do this. But other things that were going on in the world, and I only have a few, and one of them is in Japan. In the year 200 in Japan, and you're going to have to help me with some of these pronunciations.
Okay.
There's a place called Himiko, Himiko.
I would have to see it, but...
Okay.
Probably.
Himiko, the capital is situated in Yamatai. It's T-A-I it ends in. I don't know how they do that. They extended their authority over a number of different clans that year. So they were like building their own little empire, and I say little, building their own empire in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
In the Roman Empire, Emperor Septimus Severus visits.
He was my favorite of all the emperors.
All the emperors, Septimus Severus?
Yes.
Because he had a septum, and he was named after a Harry Potter character.
Yeah, he seems like a Harry Potter character.
He does, actually. He visits the provinces of Syria, Palestine, and Arabia in the year 200.
And he was from where?
From Rome. He was the Roman emperor.
Rome, okay.
And then in also the classic age of the Maya civilization begins around the year 200 in the Americas.
The thing that I would be very interested to know about that time, this is such a tangent, but what societies knew about the other societies?
Probably, when you consider the world population, probably very few. I don't even know if trades were happening yet.
I mean, how many people in, let's say, Sumeria
Right.
knew people in Japan or China? Or even, let's say, Europe. Were Europeans aware of Indian? And I say India, like Indian people from India.
Right.
Or even Japan. I mean, how
Were they even aware there was another continent across the ocean?
But I mean, they say, Columbus discovered America, so that world wasn't aware that territory existed, and those people were living here, the American natives were living here, and they probably knew about people from Mexico. There were no lines drawn. It was just the same place. You just walked.
And people on the same continent probably had the ability to trade with each other if you went far enough.
Yeah.
If you could go far enough without, without freezing to death or whatever the case may be.
But that, let's say Marco Polo was trading with China.
Marco.
What year was that? I don't even know those years. But I'm just saying, in ancient times, Italy knew a little bit about China. And I just wonder how many of the cultures and the civilizations knew about each other. Because there's some evidence, and my wife and I were talking about this yesterday, there's some evidence that Jesus studied in India, like during his younger years, I guess.
Sure.
He studied with the Essenes, and possibly Hindus, who knows?
Think about this. I was looking at this because my next fact has to do with some art, because I thought you'd be interested in the art of the year 200.
Art sucks.
Stop it. So this piece of artwork that I'm about to talk about still exists. It's from the year 200. And I was like, wow, that's really old. There's art that still exists from 70,000 BC.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Obviously, it's not an acrylic painting or even an oil painting. It's hands drawn on a cave wall.
And the people who did that, people who did that had no idea that it would survive that long.
But they knew why they were doing it. They were telling stories with their art.
Yeah.
They were being creative.
Yeah.
And there was no other reason to stick your hand on a wall and spit dye at it, which is how they made those, So, I mean, they had that in them.
I want to have a shop at a tourist attraction where you sell those T-shirts. You just put your hand on them, just blow,
just spit paint on it. I bet they would sell well.
I think they would
in an area like that.
At this point, I mean, it's like a primitive airbrush.
Yeah, there you go.
Basically, what it is.
You're using your mouth as the paintbrush.
Sure,
I like it. So, speaking of the art, the piece of art I was talking about from the year 200, which is probably the most famous piece of art from that year, is called the Severon Tondo.
Okay.
2 separate words. It depicts Septimus Severus, Julia Domna, and their children, Gita and, I'm not going to say this right, Karakaya or Karakala.
Oh, man, they were difficult.
Yeah. From Fayum, Egypt, is made.
Okay.
It is now kept at a museum in Berlin that I will never be able to pronounce in a million years. But that's where you could see it. You can see this piece of artwork from the year 200.
That would be fun.
I only have a couple more things, and these have to do with religion.
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah. So Jewish Eretz...
Jewish what?
Jewish Eretz Israeli scholar.
Okay.
Judah Hanassi, and Mike is going to kill me for all of these mispronunciations.
We'll have him on the show.
Okay. He compiles tracts of the Mishnah, creating Talmudic law.
Okay.
Once again, I have no idea what the words were that just came out of my mouth, but it seemed important.
Well, you know what the Talmud is, don't you?
Kind of.
Okay.
Let's just move on. Mike can tell us when he's here.
That's Jewish scripture.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Talmud? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was creating Talmudic law.
Okay.
And the year 200. Clement of Alexandria denounces the use of musical instruments instead of human voices in Christian music.
Yeah.
And from then on,
Like Jimmy Swaggart.
so many people denounced things in Christianity. It's ridiculous.
I know.
I denounce that.
It's kind of a religion of denouncing.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. But we're not trying to offend anybody.
Well, like back in the 80s when I was really big into Christian music, contemporary Christian music, there were all these guys like Jimmy Swaggart, David Wilkerson, who would they thought Christian lyrics to rock and roll was like the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
They was speaking out against Pat Robertson.
Yeah.
Was part of it.
Yeah.
And then eventually Pat started bringing some of the people on his own show.
Do you remember Stryper?
Yeah, do you know they're going to be performing in Atlanta at the Masquerade in January?
No, they are not.
Yes, they are.
Wow.
Same guys. I think they might have a new bassist. I'm pretty sure they might.
Wow.
They look good. I mean, but they did. How much drugs did they do?
First time I ever saw anybody shoot up heroin was at a Stryper concert.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they're going to be there. They're the same guys. They look great. I'm probably not going to go see them, but I found it interesting. I'm sure they sound great.
Are they still in the yellow and black?
They use it as a theme. They don't go crazy like they did for a while.
Yeah.
But it kind of, but they're
But
just,
it's not glam isn't popular anymore. So.
But Michael Sweet, the lead singer for Stryper, was the lead singer for the band Boston for quite a while.
Yeah.
He's just got that voice. And
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
You could go to YouTube and look it up. You'll see him singing Boston hits when the Boston lead singer died.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's good.
One more thing about religion. Brahmanism evolves into Hinduism right around that time.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Okay.
That's what I've got on the year 200.
That's a lot.
I think so. And I'm sorry if I bored you or anybody else.
No, that's fine. We're used to you being boring.
Fuck off. What do you got? What's going on?
I don't have anything.
It's your turn to talk.
Well, all right. So, what I thought we would do is just talking about the podcast in general.
Okay.
Just as a entity, as a thing, as a activity that we do on a regular basis. I thought because it's episode 200, I thought it would kind of refresh people's memory of why we even do this, what it's about, and whether we want to still do it. I don't know. Do we? So we'll talk about all of that after this message. Just kidding. There's no message. We don't have commercials on this podcast.
Everybody's like, what
you
the
know what?
heck?
We should have commercials on this podcast. Though.
If we could find advertisers, we would.
No one wants to advertise on our podcast. Maybe someday they will. I would like some more champagne.
I will pour you some more champagne.
So I was thinking about just how we do the podcast, and I just thought, oh, wow, I wonder if other people would like to know how we put this podcast together and what we do. Just we'll just kind of stream of consciously talk about how we do it. So the origins, most people know, started as the Life in a Kilt podcast.
Correct.
So let's go all the way back to the very beginning when you and I started podcasting. So it would be probably the year 2013.
Yes.
Which was so I did A Year in a Kilt in 2012.
Yes.
That's the year that I turned 50.
Yep.
Exactly 10 years this year. How crazy is that?
You're going to be 60 years old.
I know. It doesn't even make sense. So exactly 10 years ago, I did the Year in a Kilt. I decided I was going to wear a kilt every day for a year. I started doing the blog, and then that went on. And then at the end of that year, so many people had started following me on Facebook.
And they
were
didn't
like,
want you to stop.
I know.
And,
They were like, please, let's keep going, keep going. So I thought, all right. And then I thought about it. I thought, well, I'm just going to make it a Life in a Kilt. And so we did Life in a Kilt. And then just a few months after we kept that going, I think it was probably June, July, whatever, we started the Life in a Kilt podcast. Yes. And I've been wanting to podcast. I wanted to do podcasting from the beginning, but you and I decided to do it, bought all the equipment, And we started formulating the podcast, and we only did like 8 episodes or so. I don't even remember exactly how long.
I want to say it was like August that we stopped, so it couldn't have been.
We didn't do too
long.
much, but it was popular, and people, we got a little bit of a crowd. And then we quit, and then we broke up. We were in a relationship at the time, and then we broke up.
Yeah. Side note.
Yeah. And you moved away, I moved away, and then eventually, I like for a whole year, I was just loose, man. I just dating the women.
You were a hoe. You called me a hoe.
I was a man hoe.
I haven't had sex in 3 years. I am not a hoe.
Oh man, I have sex all the time.
Shut up.
But no, so we broke up, and then I started dating, and then like a year later I met my wife. She wasn't my wife when I met her.
No, because that would be awkward.
That would be really weird. Yeah. She was like, "Do I know you? I think you're my wife." But so then we started dating, and then a year later we got married.
Yep.
And then you were still living
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and I called you and I said you should move to Atlanta. You'd really like it. So you moved here, and then probably like a year after you moved here, we were sitting around, and I said, I would kind of like to start the podcast again. And you said, if you do, I would like to be a part of it.
Yep.
And so we talked about it, and we decided to do it. And we resurrected the podcast.
And we had great fun doing our first.
It was better than
episodes.
the first one.
Yeah.
And so we developed it, and I think 2.5 years. I don't know if we went 3. We might have made it close to it. I don't know if we did 3. Might have. But the Life to Kill podcast was fun. And we did that for quite a while.
And we had people that participated and listened. And
we had a lot more people that listened to that than who listened to this one.
Yes.
Because when we stopped doing the podcast, the numbers went fell down. And but that's okay. After a while we decided, you know what? We felt like the Kilt Talk was kind of holding the podcast back from what it could be.
Well, how much stuff can you talk about? Like, we could talk about a different tartan every episode, and that just wouldn't be.
It was
not what
fun,
we do.
and so basically, when we dropped the Kilt Talk, it's the same podcast that we had. It's just we don't do any. Well, we're talking about kilts now, so screw that. It's kind of like the same thing.
You were about to lie, say that we weren't talking about kilts.
But we just developed it into what we're doing now, which I like. I don't know. I like it better. It's more fun.
It's freer.
It's freer. We if we want to talk about kilts, we can, and we do. We talk about Ren fairs, but if we want to talk about bears, we could talk about bears.
We have talked about
all
bears.
kinds of bears.
We talk about brown bears.
All the bears.
Oh, we could talk about the human bears.
Yeah. So yeah.
Bears in kilts.
That's how, and then we gradually started doing this, and this time, it just turned into what we're doing now. And a lot of people who wanted to listen to kilts left
to go because there's other great kilt podcasts out there. Yeah.
And we kept some people, and those are the good people. And then we picked up a few
new people from other things like word of mouth.
And what I've noticed is from that time till now, 4 years.
4 years.
Our numbers have been almost the exact same.
It's because people are afraid to tell other people they listen to us.
Well, it's just like we don't really pick up, and I'm sure we do over the course of time. New people show up and old people drop away. But I'm just saying, basically, the number have kind of stayed the same. We'll get a little bit of boost and a little bit of not boost, and then just go up and down. But for the most part, it's exactly the same. And we know a lot of our listeners, and some of the listeners we have been around
forever
since the Life of the Kill podcast.
They're just loyal to you and I as people, not necessarily to what our podcast is about.
Well, they like the entertainment, so that's good. They like our podcast itself, so that's cool.
I agree.
So, and that's how we ended up where we are now at episode 200.
Wow. So what happens behind the scenes? Because, I just come here, talk, and leave.
Right. So this is what I think is very interesting, because I think that people might want to know how we do a podcast.
Yeah.
And I have some friends who have started their own podcast who have contacted me and said, would you give me some advice? And I was like, I don't know if you want my advice, but I'll do what I can. And so I thought I would tell you. So we do not do, so let's just start with our studio. So our studio is a room in my house.
It's a spare room in your house.
It's a bedroom that we don't use as a bedroom. It was my office, and I turned it into a studio. We have a table. Now, if you've watched videos, and you can watch some videos on YouTube, and you will find more that we're going to be releasing soon, you will see us sitting at our little podcast tables with our little podcast mics. These are the original podcast mics that we bought.
And they still work great.
I spent a lot of money on these.
They should better work great.
I wanted great sound, so I made sure that we bought mics that had great sound. So far, they're still producing. But we sit in our little studio. Half the time, it's almost completely dark. Like right now, we have almost every light off. And we sit here, I'd say about 50% of the time we light some incense, which I have done today. We have a little incense going. And sometimes we both kind of choke out and we don't do the incense. What else?
But we always have a beer with us, and sometimes I'll bring up another cocktail. It's basically just us sitting here chatting. But what we're doing is we have our headphones on. We've got our mics in front of us. We try and stay in front of the mics. Sometimes I do some of this, and then that gets really annoying. But we try and stay, keep our sound as good as we can by doing that. We also have the mixer down there, which once we got it where we wanted it, we try not to touch it.
Yeah, it just kind of stays where it is.
Because we don't want to screw it up.
And we're using a little computer, a little Mac computer that I bought specifically for this that occasionally doesn't work. But for the most part, it's good.
Yeah.
And we have a little space for a guest, which we don't have a lot of guests. Now, that's been one of the things at our podcast that I haven't liked. I've always wanted to have more guests. I think, and that's still a goal, to get more guests. So
the last 2 years have been tough to do that, though.
If you know people who want to be on the show, if you want to be on the show, if people kind of live local, whatever, we're totally open to guests.
Yeah, regardless of what they are and who they are.
I know we talked to some people about coming on to the show, so maybe they will. I do not know.
We'll
but
find out.
It was easy when we were the Kilt podcast because it was easy to get Kilt people on the show.
Yeah.
We had Doug in the pub, been on our show several times.
Yeah.
He's a Kilt guy.
Yeah.
And we were at the Kilt, the Scottish pub or Irish pub, whichever, probably both, which is no longer there. I mean, it is, but it's a different one. It's been sold.
Yes.
Different name.
Yes.
Still good food, but it's different. So it's just hard to find a guest, I think.
Because they don't know what we expect of them, and they don't know what to talk about. We've had a couple of guests that we had something very specific to talk to them about. When the pandemic first started, we had CJ on, and she discussed, she's a nurse, and so she discussed, some things that people should do to stay safe. Yep. We also had somebody on in regard to haunted houses. Yep. A good listener of ours, good friend of ours.
Mike's been on a
couple times.
Hopefully again. Gotta get
he has to come back now because I can't pronounce shit.
I wanted to have him at Christmas, but then we didn't do a show at Christmas. Yeah, this is the first time we didn't give gifts at Christmas. We missed 2 months of great stuff.
Here's what we're going to do then.
This
is a promise. We're going to do this.
Okay.
Valentine's gifts.
Oh, no, that sucks.
I hate Valentine's Day.
That's not my favorite.
I hate it. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's stupid. But we're going to give each other presents.
Okay.
For Valentine's Day.
Well, we do have set up for guests. Guests have their own mic. They have their own chair. They have their own little section. And it's nice. We can all see each other, sit at the table. So I moved into a new studio this year. And when I did, I kind of cleared out this studio. I don't use it for my studio anymore. Now, this is potentially all podcast room.
Yes.
And what I want to do is put a bigger table in here and maybe some cool lighting and stuff, and then make it a much better spot for people, because we will have guests. We'll have guests.
We'll work together to make it more welcoming and more comfortable for everybody involved, including me, because I hate this chair I'm sitting in.
Really?
We're going to get new chairs and a new
These
table.
are brand new chairs that I bought for the podcast. Why do you hate them?
Because my butt always sweats.
That has nothing to do with the chair. Maybe you should get a new butt.
No, it's
you could put like a pillow on it or something. I mean,
I'll figure it out. I don't mind the occasional sweaty butt.
Yeah, I do.
But yeah.
All right. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was just the progress or the process of how we put together a show. Now, we do not, this is like, and if you listen to the show, you already know this.
Yeah.
We do not plan. So you sometimes will plan stuff at your place, and I'll plan stuff at my place. We rarely have meetings where we sit down and plan together.
Nope.
Rarely. We have done it,
Nope.
but it's very, very rare. And usually you will plan things. And so I like it that way, but it doesn't always work because I like doing things that you don't know what I'm going to do.
I like doing the same thing because
Right.
it starts conversations.
It's fun.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of times when I know what I'm going to say, but I'm not going to tell you.
Right.
So
But then, on occasion, we need to collaborate because
yeah.
you can't just walk in blinded if you're going to bring up like deaths in the family or worst sexual experience, because I need time to think about that. There have been
you
several.
have to think back to the time we were together.
Or when I had sex.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a hot minute again. But yeah. I would have to think about
Well,
that.
if I know I'm going to be asking you a question that you really need to think about the answer, I will tell you in advance.
You have done that.
Yeah,
yes.
but a lot of times I like, especially if it's a quiz or something like that. No. I mean, I don't tell you, and it's much more fun that way. Most of the time, you don't learn what beer we're having until
10 minutes.
10 minutes before we go on.
Yep.
And occasionally, I never know until I go buy it.
Right.
Or you bring it over. Most of the time I buy it.
Right.
And I usually get it the day of.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, like if I buy in bulk, sometimes I'll get like 3 or 4 episodes of beer. And then I know.
Because you can buy like one of those little mix and match your flights at the store. Yeah.
But like, so we went to Lexington, Kentucky, and we were going to buy some beer. I don't think we did because, now I can't remember why. But when I go visit, like sometimes I've been to Texas and I like to buy Texas beer we can have.
Yeah.
So I do like to try to do that to get a nice little selection. But a lot of times it's one of the reasons why that we do a lot of local beers here.
You know what would be fun? Here's just an idea. I wonder if people would enjoy this. We should go back to Kentucky. I'll get to go this time. And we should go on the Bourbon Trail.
We were going to do that.
And record.
Yeah. But I mean, we could do we can actually do beer stuff here like that.
Yeah.
That's more of the kind of stuff that we should do.
Well, it is local, and we prefer to stay local.
Yeah. So one of the things that we do not do on the show, or we rarely do on the show, is we rarely edit. So I've had people ask me, how do you edit your shows?
We don't.
I don't. I do. And it's on purpose. I feel like I like the spontaneity. I don't care if we're boring. And I know. So when we first started doing the show and I listened to it, it just bummed me out how many times I said,
Yes.
But I don't do that quite as much anymore.
No.
Still occasionally you do. I mean, it's just part, but we've learned, I think, and you and I both, here's one of the things I think is interesting when we have a guest, our rhythm totally goes out the window.
Yeah. Because it's better if it's just me and you talking, because we talk with our eyes as well as talking like with each other, and then it's hard to look at each other and look at the guest and try and work it all out. It's tough. I don't know how people who are like co-interviewers do it without a plan.
Well, a new person comes in and you have all new rhythms that you have to pick up on.
And energy, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's interesting. I mean, but we've done it for her long enough that I think we've gotten better at it.
Yes, I agree.
And so I don't like editing. I mean, I feel like if we make a mistake, if we screw up, unless we say something really, really bad.
Or offensive.
We have.
Which we have.
And there's been a couple times when you call me and you've been like, I said that thing and I probably shouldn't have said it. Can you take that out?
And you're like, damn it, Sherry.
There have been a couple times when I said no, because it's not that bad.
But that's true. But for the most part, I think in the moment you actually said, maybe you shouldn't have said that, And
there have been a couple times that I'll shake my head like, don't go there.
Yeah.
And people, if they're listening at home, you'll hear Sherry kind of like stalling. She's like getting ready to go. I'm usually here like shaking my head, but that's rare. I don't mind. I don't like editing the show. I guess it's possible we can make the show much better if we did edit it, but I would never. I don't have the time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No. So unless it just sucks, and we've done a show. Oh, we did a show recently that went an hour and 40 minutes, and I trimmed some of it off. I was just like, we didn't need to even talk about that, and I just took that out. But that just almost never happens.
Yeah, rarely. We
don't.
try and keep it because you have a clock in front of you, and even when your clock was hanging on the wall, which I'm not sure where it went, but even
we took it down when we did the last video.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Even when the clock was hanging on the wall, see, we don't even remember what we did. I don't remember what we did.
You don't remember.
When it was hanging there, I could see the time too, but I didn't pay attention.
No,
that's not my job.
I see it on the computer, and I pay attention there.
Yeah,
but editing rarely happens. What usually happens is we start the podcast, and when we end it, that's what we did. You hear exactly what we talked about.
Yep.
Now, you came over and we talked, and this happens a lot. We will talk maybe 2 hours before.
Yeah.
And kind of, I feel like it's sort of priming. So this, like today, we talked a lot about, because we haven't met in a while.
Right.
Other
than Christmas.
You came over at Christmas, but we didn't talk podcast.
No, we were busy with Christmas.
We haven't talked podcast since the podcast ended. So you came over and we talked a little bit about, you told me what you were going to talk about. I told you what I was going to talk about. And then we kind of talked about what we need to be doing in the future, what we did in the past that worked, and just things like that.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then we came up and did a show.
Exactly. Like, I have no idea that you were even going to really go this far into it. I know you said that you wanted to kind of give a behind-the-scenes thing.
Yeah.
But this has been kind of an interesting conversation because a lot of people just don't know what we do.
Or what we have done or where it came from. And I know a lot of people do. People have been listening for a long time, but new people don't.
Right.
So then the next thing.
What?
Do we want to still do this podcast? That's something to talk about. That's something to think about. Now, here's something that a lot of people don't know. So we know a certain amount of people listen to the show. We know not everybody listens to it every week. We
know there are also people who are behind.
Yeah. Well, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I haven't listened to podcasts. This year, I've listened to fewer podcasts than I have in my entire life. But I still love my podcast.
Yeah.
And I keep saying I got to listen. And I know people do that with us. I don't judge people. It's just we're here if you need us.
There you go.
We're turning it out. But I just feel like every once in a while I just think, are we still serving a purpose? Do we need to keep doing this?
Are you looking for validation?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you always want people to tell you if they enjoy it, even if it's a little bit.
Well, yeah, because it's not live, so it's not like people can go, yay.
So, like, and this is an example. I'm not griping. It's just the way it is. Like, when we used to do our Kilt of Horrors back in the old days, we would get like 8-9 people sending us stories.
Right.
And we've tried to do the horror stories and keep it going, and we get like 1 submission, maybe 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's just like, oh, are people listening? Do they know about it? So we don't know. If people don't talk to us about it, we don't know if they're even listening. And occasionally we do get letters.
Sure.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And so I know people are listening, and that's fine. But I just think, are they listening like occasionally, or do we still provide I don't know, I want to say a service. Our service we're not doing anything of value other than just entertainment.
Yeah,
I mean,
and entertainment is value.
Yeah,
I think it's valuable.
I'm not making apologies.
Right.
But I'm just saying we're not it's not an instructional thing. We're not talking about kilts. We're not telling people about events that are happening.
Right.
We're not teaching them how to do anything.
How to wear their kilt.
Possibly, and that's the thing. I mean, we're this epic disaster. We're about how to survive the disasters in life. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't do a podcast for 2 months. Your 200th podcast.
Because there's too many disasters.
You can't do it because you're being disasterish.
No, you're being disastered.
You're being disastered.
Yes.
So, but I just, every once in a while, I'll just stop and I think, do we need to be doing this anymore? I mean, we were off 2 months. I think we got 1 letter during that time.
Yeah.
No one said, where are you? Are you still going to be doing a show?
Nope.
I don't know.
Nope. And the person that used to hit me up every week if our show wasn't out on Monday, which is the only way I knew to tell you didn't release the podcast.
Yeah.
She's kind of in the middle of something.
Well,
right now.
everybody was. It was the holidays. So, I mean, again, I'm not griping. I totally understand it. But I'm just saying, I don't know. I mean, even on like, not just like based on now, but just the big thing. Have we done it? Is this it? Is this all we need to do? Do we need to keep going? Is there more stuff we can do?
There has to be.
I don't know.
We've come up with a couple of ideas that I think are going to work.
Well,
so we're not ready to just throw the baby out with the bathwater yet. I hate that. Hate that phrase. Why did I just use it?
I don't know. I don't have a baby.
I don't have bathwater. What the hell?
I take a bath. I take a shower. I just think that it's worth considering.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm ready to end the podcast.
Me either.
I'm not planning on ending it, but I'm just saying you get to a point, especially at 200, it's like, all right, that's a great goal. Do we keep going? Do we stop? Now, I don't know if I should even mention this. I'm planning on, at some point this year, working on a solo podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Something I've been thinking about for a long time. Totally different from this one.
Of course.
And, but I don't know. It's just like, do I quit this one and go to that one? Do I do both? I don't know.
I thought about doing a solo podcast of my own way back when.
Well, I think you should. I think we both should do solos.
Did you just should on me?
I should on you.
You should on me. That's not fair. Don't should on me.
Yeah, I think so. So anyway, it's just something to think about. Do we continue? I plan on continuing. I think in my plan of continuing, we've made some. I think there's some changes that can be made.
Sure.
And I think we can add new things and take old things away and change what we do. And yeah.
So in the form of seeing as how it is New Year's Day, January the 1st,
Yep.
in the form of a resolution, I think that you and I should both commit, not necessarily to each other, but just commit to, because then you'll hold me responsible. I'm just going to commit to being more proactive with the podcast.
Yeah, I do think we I've talked about planning, and we don't do a whole lot, but we do need to plan more. That's for sure. It's not our number one job. We both have other jobs.
Yes.
So we can put our time into it only the time that we have, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. This is not a podcast. It doesn't take a lot of research. It doesn't take a lot of planning. So that's fine. But I would like to put a little more into it. I think we should. There are two podcasts that I would love to do. Two podcasts that I would love to do. One, I want to do. I always felt like it would be a great podcast, since I've never smoked pot, to do a pot podcast where I actually smoke pot for the first time.
But didn't your wife say she would prefer you not?
No. Well, I don't think she wants me like habitually like being a pot smoker.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
And there was a time where I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. But for entertainment purposes, I think it might be funny. I don't know. Somebody, one of my friends, a couple of my friends were like, no, don't do it on the air. If you're going to do it first and then decide if you want to do it. But that just,
they know it's not live. We could stop if we needed to.
If I freak out. But I just think it might be a fun podcast.
I think so too. And what's even more fun is I think that if you do it by yourself.
Oh no.
With me not doing it.
Oh, me smart. Yeah. That's definitely it.
Yeah.
And then my wife can be up here if she wants.
Yeah, because one of us has to be sober. Well,
yeah,
sober. And second, I recently, over the last, I would say last year, I tried to utilize edibles as a form of an anti-anxiety medication.
Did it work?
No.
Oh, really? Did it make it worse?
Well, because I'm not going to say it doesn't, because for some people it works wonders. And it can be prescribed for anxiety as well in states that it's legal to do so. But I found that with some of my specific diagnoses, the THC actually, now I could do CBD, but the actual THC causes anxiety.
Oh,
so it's bad, and I probably should have known that, considering I've used every other drug out there, and the only one that ever made me paranoid was THC.
Yeah.
Ever. So yeah, I probably should have known that. But my doctor told me, because I told her straight up, I said, this is what I was using to fight my anxiety. And she goes, oh no, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to be a user. That's not the point. I just think for entertainment purposes, it might be funny. And along the same lines, I've always thought it'd be funny to do a naked podcast. I don't think I'm ready for that one.
We have a screen now.
I've been naked in front of you before. It was a long time ago, but I don't think I could get naked in front of you again.
I don't think so.
And I don't think my wife would want me to.
I don't
but
think
it'd be
so.
funny. But the thing is, so like you can't do a naked podcast on the air. So like no one wants to see my dick. I feel like
not even your wife.
If you're doing like a Patreon or something like a closed thing, like the only thing that's going to be seen, I mean, might not be wearing a shirt, and no one wants to see that. It would just be people tune in to see your boobs. That would be all, because they're not going to see anything on me that's
attractive.
Totally. It's just not. So I don't know.
And what makes you think my boobs are attractive?
What I just think what I guess my point is, unless we did something like that, it's just we could tell people we're naked and not be naked.
Duh.
So
yeah.
So I don't know what the purpose would be.
We could do bathing suit.
Oh, I mean that's worse.
Yeah, because I don't.
Speedo.
Please don't ever wear a Speedo.
No, I don't wear a bathing suit because I don't bathe.
You don't. Well, you don't go to the beach.
No.
You don't do beaches.
No.
Or pools.
So yeah, I don't see that happening. The pot thing.
Maybe.
It's a possibility on that one. Yeah.
I just came up with a great idea. You're not going to like it so much.
Okay.
We should do a podcast.
The pot thing, I might end up naked.
You might, actually, because we know what gin does to you. We don't know what pot does to you yet, but we'll find out. The thing I would like to do is I would like to do an entire podcast where we do a drinking game.
Oh, get drunk?
Yeah.
I've wanted to do that too, is to get like really, really drunk. Because there are people who think that I get drunk on this show. I don't know that
That's because I say that.
Well, I don't think I've ever been drunk on the show. I've been
tipsy.
There were a couple times that I've been kind of buzzed, but I've never been drunk on the show.
I have.
But I would love to. But the thing is, there would have to be a big disclaimer on that one.
Not only would there have to be a disclaimer, we'd need a chaperone.
Why? Why would we need a chaperone?
Not because of anything that you and I would do together, but because of like what we might both pass the fuck out because we're old. That's what happens when we drink. And then they would just be hours and hours of a podcast of us snoring.
What would be fun on something like that is live. It would because then that's the danger factor. That's like going to the circus and seeing somebody on the high wire because they might fall. It would be the same thing.
The game would be where we would have to drink if something happened live, like in the moment, or whatever game we decided to play.
I'm just saying the problem with that would be not because we could be funny if we're drunk, but I wouldn't want to say anything that offends anybody.
Right.
And if we consume a lot of alcohol, we would probably do that.
Well, we are offensive people. Especially not on the pod. You think we're offensive on the podcast? Yeah. Oh, honey, no.
Yeah, we don't want to talk politics or anything like that. Although
and
it could be fun.
Some of the shit that comes out of our names.
Yeah. You just put a disclaimer on there saying, warning, they might be talking.
Now that I think about it, some of the jokes that you and I make just...
Oh, I know.
I don't know that we would want to do that.
No, not live. But that's where the danger things comes in. I think it'd be fun. It's worth considering. So let us know if you want us to do it. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about the process. So, maybe a little bit about how we do the show. It's very impromptu, and I love it impromptu. We've tried to record 1 and 2, and sometimes we've had to weeks in advance, and I hate that because, yesterday, Betty White died.
Right.
Betty died yesterday.
Freaking White.
supposed to have a birthday in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't make it.
She was going to be 100.
But we can't talk about that if we're recording in advance.
Exactly.
And so we should be able to. It just needs that instantaneous feel.
I agree.
But sometimes we can't have it. Sometimes we have to record. But I like. We've recorded the day we've released before, and I don't like that at all.
No.
But a few days in advance, and we record, and it feels very
natural.
Yeah.
And current.
Like, I listen to a podcast that records earlier in the day, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that luxury. We have to kind of plan on when you're gonna come over and
because we have jobs.
Do the show. Yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe people kind of know how things go. It is a lot more impromptu than I think some people would like to think.
Yeah, we don't.
Maybe more than I would like to do. But
yeah, absolutely.
That's just the way it is.
That's just who we
I
are.
love the in the moment. That's what probably the thing I like the most about the podcast is a lot of times it feels like doing improv. It's just
very much
we're
so.
Not live, but we try to make it feel like we're live.
Which is why we don't edit.
Yeah.
Because if we have to edit out every time I interrupt Rick, we would have no podcast.
But
and it used to be the other way around.
Well, sometimes it is. But I just feel like that we need to, that live feel needs to be preserved. And so, yeah, I could take stuff out, but that's not fun.
It's not fun because what else is going to start conversations?
And maybe someday we will, if we're recording, we'll let people tune in and listen live.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
If we can work that out.
I doubt it.
All right. Well, okay. I'm not going to drag it out anymore. Should we stop here? Should we stop?
I have one more thing 200? To say. Episode 200.
Oh, I was going to say one more thing about, because one of the things I wanted to do on episode 200 is play some of our best of.
Oh, yeah, that's not going to happen.
And the reason we didn't is because we don't catalog anything. We know we have these 200, but I don't know when we said what. We don't really pull things out and keep them.
And you can't tell by downloads or.
And
or
I'm not going to listen to 200 episodes of this show.
No. I'm surprised other people have, to be honest.
Well, I've listened to some of our shows like 3 times. I've listened to a few shows I was like, this is good.
I've listened to some that make me giggle.
I know not all of them are good.
No.
But some of them are really good. And so I just, you listen to them to try to get better. And then it's like, wow, that one really, we were on it there. Everything was like working really well. And I love those kind of shows. But we don't have any way to pull anything out. And I know I asked, and this has been a couple months ago, but I asked when we were doing telling people we were going to be recording the 200th, I asked people to tell us their favorite episode or their favorite memory. And I know people have, some people just didn't do it, but we did get, I think Patrick told us his favorite. This is interesting because it goes all the way back to like episode 2 or 3.
3, I think.
When my wife, Maria, was on talking about her dad.
Yeah. And
how her dad was killed.
Yes.
And he was like, that was so engaging. And it was, even for us.
Yes.
I
think we just kind of sat there in awe listening to her.
That story's amazing. So if you want to hear it, go all the way back to like episode 2 or 3. My wife, Maria, is on the show. And it probably sounds very different. I haven't listened to any early shows in a long time.
Me either.
So, but yeah, we don't have any way to pull out stories. We don't have any way to pull out pieces unless we go back and listen to every single one of them.
And we're not going to.
It's one of the reasons why I was asking people, because I thought if they said, well, I like that time when you all talked about the fish, then I could look for the fish and pull that out. So, but we didn't get that.
Didn't happen. Didn't happen.
But yeah, so that's why we didn't do that kind of show here. I just want to let people know.
We would have loved to.
Yeah, it would have been fun.
That would have been a blast because there have been some times that we have laughed out loud.
Yeah.
But it is very difficult.
I have, and I don't talk about this much. I don't even know if I've ever told you this. I've told my wife several times. It's like, I have one goal in the show, and that's to make you laugh. I never, ever, it's just like, if I make you laugh, then I know I did a good show. I don't ever, that's just like the whole goal of the show for me.
It's to make me laugh.
That's the only reason why I do the show.
Aww.
And it's just like, if we have a show where you laugh a lot, I'm like, okay, that was a good show.
That was a good show. Clearly, so it's all about you. Mm-hmm. You're at that point, you're like, okay,
I
was
insecure.
on.
I need somebody to laugh at my jokes.
I was on.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I killed. All right. Well, that's good because when you kill, it tends to be a good show. But I do have one more thing I'd like to mention about our 200th episode here. Yeah. I certainly hope that this episode doesn't turn out like South Park's 200th episode.
Oh, I don't even know what that was.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
So the 200th South Park episode entitled 200. Their 200th episode gained them a death threat by a radical group, and I'm not going to mention who. It ended up being highly censored in some areas of the world or not shown at all in others. Sri Lanka actually banned the entire show due to a scene where Buddha snorts cocaine.
Oh, no.
However, I will go into a little bit more detail from what I read today. That was the episode in which they did receive death threats from a radical religious group based on some of the fun they made of Muhammad.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
That's not going to happen to us on our 200th episode.
No.
I mean, unless you think making fun of things like, what did we talk about?
I don't even remember. Have we started yet?
Did you hit record?
I don't know.
Jesus.
Now you said Jesus.
There you go.
Unless taking the Lord's name in vain offends you.
That's it.
While you're listening to the show.
Yes, please don't.
But seriously, the bottom line to this has always been you guys. We do this for you, and even if there's a small amount of you out there, we still do it. And I love interacting with people online. And the people every once in a while. I got Cynthia wrote me a message the other day talking about the show, and I was like, "Oh, she's out there listening.
She's still listening."
It's so awesome when people say. It's just kind of a random thing you get, and they're just like, "Oh, I wanted to comment on what you said," and I'm like, "Oh, cool, people are listening."
Do you know what those comments are when it comes to a podcast that's not recorded live? Those comments are the equivalent of the applause you get in a live event.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. I mean, even if they don't like it, it's fine. I mean, we
at least we know you're either heckling or applauding,
and it's why we always say, leave us comments, leave us stars, whatever on reviews. Speaking of that. And I know I've said this, but I have actually been working on new sticker designs for this year's. They're going to be what you would think they are going to be. They're going to be fun and maybe a little bit controversial.
Oh, I like controversy.
I forgot to tell you what they are. I'll tell you after.
I should know because it's half my show.
Yeah, after we go. We're not going to review this champagne, although I will say we drank pretty much the whole bottle.
And I like it.
I did too.
Let's just say I like it.
I'm not ashamed. I'm having trouble feeling my arms right now.
Normally champagne gives me gas. Normally champagne gives me gas. But
Wait a minute.
That
what was that?
That was your mouth. I haven't farted or belched
yet
this entire show.
You're saving it up for later.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, and next week we're doing a new show. So we'll be back, and we'll start some of the new stuff next week, and then throughout this year we'll be adding more stuff.
Happy New Year.
All right, we'll see you all next week. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This is a Violet Jester Media podcast.